Hello, it's Mr. Van Ong here with Distance Learning Week 3, Day 3. Hooray! And it's cause for celebration today. We are in the metric system, and it is so good. It's good to be in metric. I'm so excited, and I hope you are too. This is the system of science. This is the system of the world, except for literally 3 countries. And it is far superior, as you will soon learn. We're not really doing any conversion today. You're going to kind of learn a little bit about why the conversion is so nice in the metric system. Today, we're specifically focused on measuring length in the metric system. So we're going to bust out our rulers again. If you have your own ruler, be my guest. If not, you can use the ruler that comes in your book on page 851. You can snip that out and use that ruler. It'll be sufficient to measure all of the things. Now, the metric system is based on the idea that there's always 10 of something in the next thing. So there's 10 meters in the decameter, and there's 10 decameters in the next one after that, and so on. So we don't have any fractions. There's never like fractions of meters or fractions of centimeters, because there's always just tenths inside of them. So you don't have to memorize any ridiculous, there's 3 feet in a yard and 1,760 yards in a mile. There's no silly numbers like that. It's always there's 10 of one thing in the next. 10, 10, 10, 10. It's just all it is. Just like our decimal system, which means that when we do start converting, we just have to shift the decimal place the correct number of times. So we have to have a system for knowing how many times to do that, which we'll talk about on Friday. But today, we're just measuring in it. So when you look at your ruler at home, or the ruler that they've got for you there, typical little tiny ruler like this, you've got, am I showing you the wrong side? There we go. Oh, okay. So the MM stands for millimeters, and I wish they wouldn't have labeled it MM. I think they should have put CM there, which is what yours has. It says CM for centimeters, because the numbers that are written here are centimeters. The numbers that are written here are centimeters, okay? So these are centimeters. And then inside of each centimeter, there are 9 little hash marks, 9 cuts to make the 10 equal spaces inside of each centimeter. So here I can see that my 1 centimeter has 10 millimeters in it. My 2 centimeters has, if I was going to count all those little dots, they were going to have 20. When I bust out my big actual meter stick, which is also, it says centimeters like it should, and same thing, all those little tiny hash marks, there's 10 millimeters in every centimeter. So here, my meter stick has 100 centimeters in it, which means that it has 1,000 millimeters in it. So there are literally, drawn on here, 1,000 of those little tiny hash marks that you can just barely see. There's 1,000 of them in between my fingers. Hooray, so cool. And that's what we're measuring with today. We're measuring things in centimeters and millimeters. Get my other ruler. And not in meters or kilometers or long distances like that. So let's go ahead and get started with that again. And it's just like the other day. Let's do the measure it problem together. So you can see they've got their ruler up there, perfect for you. If you were to measure at a diagonal like this, then you're going to get a wrong answer. It's really important that you measure in a perfectly straight line. It does make a difference for if it's a straight line or if it's in an angle. That's a geometrical thing that Pythagoras talked about a lot, and you know too. Anyway, so we want a perfectly straight line, and it's very important that you get the 0 line on your ruler exactly lined up where it needs to be. In some rulers, the 0 line is actually the edge of the ruler, but in other ones, it's not. In other ones, you have to slide it over. So look for the 0, or look for where there's nothing, and line it up, and then do the measurement. So this piece of chalk that they've got drawn here, our directions are to measure it just to the nearest centimeter. So I don't have to worry about all the little tiny hash marks, just the numbers that I see there. It's almost exactly 4 centimeters, so it's kind of silly that they said to the nearest centimeter. I would argue that is probably exactly 4 centimeters long, so I don't need to write anything on the board for this one. That's 4 centimeters, so the answer to that problem is 4 centimeters. Now, how many, they don't ask us this here, but how many millimeters would that be? Count by tens. So that's 10, 20, 30, 40. It's exactly 40 millimeters. Now, if you were to say, now, Mr. Van Dalen, I think maybe it's 39 millimeters. When I look really carefully, I don't think it's quite there. I would say, fine, you know what? If you're off by a millimeter in your measurement, that is pretty darn accurate. So as long as you can measure within the nearest couple millimeters, that's a correct answer, okay? So there's the exact measurement. If you're off by 1 or 2 millimeters in the other directions, that's okay. Millimeter is a very small measurement, very useful measurement for measuring small things. Turn the page and let's look at toy cars. Measure this toy car. Should you measure it at a diagonal? No, Mr. Van Dalen, we shouldn't do that. Good job. Imaginary student in my head, haunting my dreams. I mean, gracing my dreams. It's wonderful. So I need to measure in a very straight line. They've got these hash marks for me right here, which is kind of nice of them. But if those weren't there, then I would need to find like the longest part of the car to measure. So I'm going to measure from bumper to bumper here very carefully. Ooh, I get it exactly where it needs to be. And if I'm told to measure it to the nearest centimeter, then it would easily be 6. It's closer to 6 than 5, but I'm not told that. I'm told to measure it to the nearest millimeter. So I see that if I know that the 5 centimeters is 50 millimeters, then I can keep going. That big, thick halfway point would be 55. And then I keep going from there. I've got 55, 56, 57. I would say that that's 57 millimeters. Millimeters, 57. So 57 millimeters, I would say with about 92.8% confidence, it's an exact number, that's the exact measurement. If you said 56, then you're wrong. It's fine. And you're close enough. If you said 58, then you're also wrong. No, it's also just fine. You're close enough. Okay, so if you're close to 57, you're good to go. Close to 57 as possible would be accurate. I got cut off. So as I was about to tell you, before I was so rudely interrupted by my computer saying, oh, you're out of space in your computer. You've been talking so much. Very rude of it. I wanted to show you what to do next. So there's a talk about it section right here. Go ahead and read those and fill them out to the best of your ability. But the focus of our learning today is measuring on this page and answering all these questions and on the next page as well. Note the line segment directions. You should have use a straight edge to draw a line with 2 end points. You need the little end points. You can't, not arrows. It's not a line segment if you do arrows. End points to draw lengths, line segments of various lengths as requested. Oh, and if you don't have a tape dispenser or any of these other things, just pick something different. Measure that instead, but change it and say what you measured. That's that. So if you finish early, you know what to do. You can go ahead and move on to the math choice. If you work for 45 minutes, then move on regardless. So we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.